Nothing called, and Michigan still scrambling. It's a goal. Michigan finally somehow got it in the net to tie the game.
Boyle with Marchand in the zone. Scores! Marchand does it again!
Welcome back to On the Blue Line. Today it's just me, and I'll be breaking down the 3 NHL games over the weekend, including the Rangers at the Flyers, the Bruins at the Canucks, and the Red Wings versus the Blackhawks. To first start out, I have the Rangers versus the Flyers in Philly. Both teams did not have much going on in this game. Each of them took multiple penalties in the first period, but no goals came out of them. Though Philly had the better chances, they were playing really well, but the first period ended off scoreless. In the second, the Rangers got on the board first with a snipe from Lafreniere, assisted by Trocheck and Miller. The Flyers did not answer back in the second as the missed chances continued. Flyers weren't having a really good game. They couldn't score one goal. It was just a bad game for them. However, this would change in the third period as Tyson Forster tipped in a beautiful feed from Scott Laughlin, but shortly after, the Rangers scored from the fourth line. Barclay Goodrow shot one from the point, hit Matt Rempe's for his first NHL goal. He didn't actually think it was his goal at first, but then he looked at the replay and it was his goal. And the Rangers ended up winning 2-1. Shesterkin stopped all but one of the Flyers' 40 shots on goal, and Earson stopped 22 of 24 shots. To get into our second game, it was the Bruins lost to Vancouver. The game started off pretty slow. Each team did not score in the first, but this would change in the second period as the Bruins cashed in 2 to go up 2-0. First goal was from Jesper Bratt, assisted by Justin Brazeau. And then shortly after, Danton Heinen scored from Frederick and Geekie. The Canucks, while they couldn't score, they still looked like they were the better team, even though they were down 2 goals. Going into the third now, things were a bit quiet until Brock Besser scored with under 10 minutes to go. And then with 2 minutes left, Rick Tochette would call his timeout and pull Thatcher Demko, and the Bruins were not able to hold on and They were not able to hold on with the 2-1 lead, and they couldn't score an empty net. With Philip Horneck ripped home for his 5th goal of the year, assisted from J.T. Miller and Elias Pettersson. Then that would send them into overtime, where the Bruins, like usually, cannot score in overtime. They suck in overtime. They have like 13 losses in overtime. But they also got a awful penalty, which made it even worse. It was a too many men penalty, so it was really bad. And then Brock Besser took a shot, JT Miller took a shot, and Brock Besser scored on the tip. So Canucks won in overtime, 3-2. It was all right game. I mean, it wasn't the best from the Bruins. The Bruins haven't been playing really well lately. They need to step up their game a lot if they want to make it a good run in the playoffs. And getting into our last game, the Red Wings defeat the Hawks. It was a very emotional game with Patrick Kane's first time being back home in Chicago, or playing back home in Chicago, where he was for 16 seasons. But it was a really good game. The first period started off really slow for each team. Each team didn't have any chances until Daniel Sprong scored his 16th goal of the year for Detroit, assisted from Fisher and Fabry, to put up Detroit 1-0. The game looked much different in the second as the Blackhawks almost doubled Detroit's shots in what was a dominant period for them. They were just going all over Detroit. They couldn't score, or the Detroit just couldn't stop them. They scored 2. The first goal was from Mackenzie in whistle, assisted from Ryan Donato and Johnson. And the second goal was from Nick Foligno, assisted by Connor Bedard and Seth Jones. So it was 2-1 Hawks going into the third period. The This period was mostly quiet until DeBrincat scored to tie it with less than 5 minutes to go, assisted by Kane and Gothispear. Then it was very close. It was a very fitting close end with Kane scoring for Detroit as in the overtime to win, which just was a very good goal. Great setup by DeBrincat. So it was a great. And then, like, he celebrated with the fans. Like, all the fans were just really happy to, like, see him score. It was just a great game for Patrick Kane. And then, like I said, the fans were happy to have him back home. And once everybody got off the ice, he came back on the ice and saluted the crowd for one last time. Coming up next, I had a chance to talk to Wayne Hill's history teacher, Mr. Berkowitz, about some NHL hockey. Welcome back to On the Blue Line. Here with us right now is former head coach of Wayne Hills Hockey, Mr. Berkowitz. Thank you for joining us on set today, Mr. Burke. First, to get started, I've heard you used to be coach of Wayne Hills. What other teams have you coached either in the past or recently?
You're going back into the archives for Wayne Hills because that was at least a decade ago, more than a decade ago now. I was with William Patterson for a while as assistant coach up there until 2016. My best glory has been through girls hockey, going to nationals twice with the Quarry Cats and Brewster. Now I'm very happy coaching just squirt travel hockey. I'm up at Ice House coaching with the Avalanche and got away from the Tier 1 nonsense. So pretty happy with my easy team.
I heard you also won the AHF playoffs this weekend.
We are the 10U McDavid champions. Flags fly forever.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now getting into the NHL, I know you're a Rangers fan. How do you think the Rangers have been doing since the All-Star break?
Obviously going on the 10-game run after a struggle in January was a good bounce back. They're getting, the good thing is they have some pretty balanced scoring, and Zibanejad's found his touch a little bit again.
Yeah, he's been finding it on the power play.
Yeah, so if Panarin can continue to bury and you add Zibanejad burying to that, they're going to be pretty formidable. The concerning thing is the last few games, they've been giving up a lot of shots. Mm-hmm. They've been plus 35 in shots against. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing because Shesterkin's been a lot better. Yeah, and it seems like he's better when he's facing more shots.
Since because a lot of people like during the All-Star, a lot of people thought he shouldn't have been in the All-Star.
Based on his stats this year, he shouldn't have been. Mm-hmm. He has been wildly inconsistent. There's an argument that Quick's been the better goalie, mm-hmm. but you can't rely on a 38, 39-year-old to carry you. So.
Exactly. And then what about the newbie Matt Rempe getting the boys fired up lately?
Listen, you gotta have your old guys, and he fills that role. Sucks what happened to Blake Wheeler, and then he's done for the year. But again, you're talking about a guy who is 30, 38. So Wheeler's got to be up there. So getting a little, of that energy, young energy is real important.
The young gun in, yeah. But he's huge. He's a 6'7", 240 player playing in just dominating play, fighting people, just he's dominating.
And you're not in a position where you're trying to wedge him in on a second line because he's got a little more.
He knows his role.
Exactly.
He knows his role.
You need guys like that for a playoff run.
Mm-hmm. And now getting to my last question. There's a big deal in the Metro right now with the Rangers, Hurricanes, Flyers, and the Devils. What do you think the top three in the wild card spot will be for them? And also, as of right now, the Devils aren't even in the playoff race.
Yeah, I think you just look at the math and looking pretty good for the Rangers.
I think they'll secure that number one spot.
Yeah, and certainly the Bruins and the Panthers are in pretty good shape. I think Carolina is in good shape. Philadelphia is sort of the one that's a little head scratching because I don't think they're that strong of a team. Mm-mm. But again, they're doing what they have to do. They're, I think at least 5 or 6 points up, so they got a pretty safe spot.
Yeah.
And then you have the Devils who are on the outside looking in, and it's just goaltending.
Goaltending.
Right
I think maybe if they get either UC Saros or Markstrom, I think they keep winning and they win games, I think it'll be good.
The question becomes, how much do you want to give up to get one of those guys? How big of a difference does it make now? And, if you end up having to sacrifice a strong young defenseman for a goalie who's a temporary solution, are you thinking too much short term with a team that, they're a good team, and again, goaltending's their weakness. I'm not necessarily sure they're just a good goalie away from a Stanley Cup right now. So, you may want to, depending on the deal that's available, just bite the bullet, see if Dawes can handle the load and maybe go for a lesser guy.
Yeah.
But that's going to be their big challenge.
Yeah, but like how even Dawes, he's been doing all right, but he's not one of those top goalies.
And he hasn't played this much. Mm-hmm. So that wear and tear after a while is going to catch up with you, and that's the biggest thing for a young goalie.
Yeah, so
getting to that level.
What do you think your top three will stay? The Rangers, Hurricanes, Flyers?
Yeah, I think the top three in both are pretty solid locks.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the way the Red Wings are playing, and
so
now,
do I.
Adding Patrick Kane to that.
Him and DeBrincat they're doing really well together, like how they were in Chicago.
Yeah, and you just can never count the Lightning out because they're getting older, but they have so much talent, and you've got John Coopers who's established himself as one of the all-time great coaches. Mm-hmm. I'd lean to those five. I mean, maybe I'd probably put Washington as the next best chance because I think they're the most balanced team after that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Mr. Berkowitz, for joining me today on the Blue Line.
My pleasure.
That's going to do it for us today. Thanks for watching this week's NHL recap on the Blue Line.